Well, anyway, so I'm an author, and it's Waking Up to Spiritual Age. How did that happen? Once again, let me talk about that and get back on track. If you have ideas in your mind, or if you have input that's kind of coming into you, and you like to share it, that's how that's how these books come about. We have something comes in. I went to I was interested in this for a long time, and a good friend of ours said, there is a group of psychic thinking people, spiritual people, who get together once a month and talk about these things. And I hadn't been around anybody like that my whole life. I had read some books about this, but did not really know anything about it, other than what I was always a loner by myself. And many of you were probably that way at one time or another. You were having some things happening to you, some thoughts were coming in, you've read some books that just, wow, but you didn't have anybody or very few people that you could discuss that with. And that's what I had, the situation, until I went to this group about 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was. And this was my reawakening, the real awakening. And that's what the book ends up being about. And so I went to this group and I listened to them, and I just sat there and I listened to these people talking. And I didn't say a whole lot. I just listened to them. And then when they were done, I remember walking out to my car, and this is this is my interpretation. Fake news? No, we won't go into politics. Let's talk about when I walked out to my car, I really felt like I was walking on air. I really felt like there was a distance. Now, physically, no, I'm walking normally, but there was something had lifted me so high, and I had to know what was going on. What is this? First of all, the topics they talk about, I knew instinctively. I felt this is very interesting. Everything from reincarnation to spirit guides, and all of that. So that walking in air thing was a life changer for me. I said, there's something here that is so profound and so important to where I am right now in life that I have to find out more, which is what I did. I was very excited about it, went back to the next meeting and attended quite a few of them for a while. As I was learning more, I got certain books that were suggested. I got a couple of Dolores Cannon's books. I think it might have been her first book, or one of them, where she talked about the regressing, where she first learned about regression hypnosis and all of that. Mind-blowing, because the way she wrote it, she was amazed at what was happening, that she could take these people back to several lives and find all this stuff out. And I know she questioned a lot of stuff in the book, like, how does this happen? And finally, she had to decide this must be real. There's something really going on here. And as she explored it more and more, it became more clear in her mind and in the reader. As I read that, I was impressed. And then one of the books she wrote that I read that really blew me away was Jesus and the Essenes. I don't know if you've read that one or not, but going to a Catholic school through 12th grade, learning about Jesus, he was always kept at a distance. And he was not a personal person or entity to me, even though I was in a Catholic school. But I read that book, and suddenly, especially the part about him, there's a lot of part about the Essenes in the beginning. It explains the background and all this stuff and how Jesus was taught and all this. But then you get to the kind of the personal section on him, who he was, how he behaved, what he did. And something just resonated with me. It felt real, felt true. And it was the first time I thought, I think I know who this person is. Now let me explain one thing about Jesus that I do believe. And many of you may know a lot more than I do. But to me, Jesus was a very advanced spiritual being who decided, this is my interpretation, please, who decided that incarnating, he didn't need it for himself, but incarnating to show us how to live a truly spiritual life. And if you examine Jesus' real life, not necessarily the version that we get that's been kind of edited in our Bibles and some of the historical things, but if you look the way he really lived and what he really taught and look at what he said, what he meant, it's totally spiritual. He set the the bar for us. He said, here's what you need to do. And it does not include going to war for your religious beliefs. It includes loving everybody, being very, just loving in everyday small things, not the big stuff like you always heard about. Well, anyway, that's the Jesus part. I didn't mean to go off on that. You guys are so wonderful the way you're listening. That interpretive dance is going to jump out any moment now. I'm hoping we can get some musical... No, you don't want to see this unless all lights are off. Then anything can happen.